Hi, good evening. We are team number 1 and we are going to talk about deep culture here in Mexico.
Well, I'm going to talk about the Mexican humor. For my opinion, the Mexican humor is the most happy around the world because, in addition to its warmth and solidarity, the sense of humor is one of the main elements of the DNA of Mexicans, and it's undoubted that our way of enjoying life is contagious. With a simple graphic representation and a short text, it's easy to generate memes and invite others to share them immediately. Soccer, politics, and shows with famous people are some of the most discussed topics that are good for denouncing, questioning, criticizing, raising awareness, or simply making fun of something. Why are the Mexicans happy? The devotion to the meme is so great that the first international festival of viral culture was recently held in Mexico. For 3 days, this topic was explored through conferences, exhibitions, and workshops, and it's that, beyond the obvious, today it's necessary to understand its iconography and the meaning of its messages. The examples for Mexican memes, in the first one is a meme of the Soccer World Cup previously in 2018, and say, en ese momento Pancho sintió el verdadero terror because Mexico has three difficult opponents. The second one is the previous earthquake in Mexico. ¿Podrías dejar de intentarnos matar por tan solo 5 minutos? And the last one, also of the earthquake. Why the Mexicans prefer laugh instead of cry? The Mexican, faced with his own tragedy, prefers to laugh than cry, but there are exceptions. The laugh, escape from the Mexican before the tragedy. Humor is for Mexicans a way of hitting the reality in which they are immersed, a form of expression to face the problems you have to face and isolate yourself, to remain in a full-time fantasy. Thus, the Mexican permanently mocks everything, even if they are the worst tragedies and failures.
Now I'm going to talk about family roles here in Mexico. Let's start with identifying what is a family role. Family role refers to the actions that every member of the family is supposed to do in order to fulfill all the needs and obligations of every member. But this doesn't mean it is the only thing they have to do. An example, some families, the mother is the one who works and the father is the one who does the cleaning and all the stuff in the house. Sometimes even students do go to work. So it is very interesting how Mexican family roles have evolved in history. Let's take an example of the pre-Hispanic families. They were very male-centered, and the man was always a powerful man. The wife takes care of the house and the kids, but both parents teach their kids about the basic stuff and about how they have to be very respectful towards their gods, the priests, and animals, and of course to powerful men like ascet, priests, or military and warriors. And if it was possible, they also sent them to school. When the pre-Hispanics were conquered and the Spanish people came to Mexico, it was a whole evolution of this. They still respect people with religious power, but it was the father the maximum authority in the house. depending on their economical situation and their race, it was different the things that have to do in the house. For example, with Spanish people, the father taught their kids, especially their sons, how to do money and how to take care of her sisters and to respect their moms. And the mother was the one who do the house cleaning or do the cooking and take care of the kids when the father was away. And the mother was also the one that teach her daughters how to serve to their brothers and their father and to be very respectful towards them because they were the ones with power. Mestizos and criollos were different. They were male-centered, but it was daughters and sons who had to learn about being hard worker and to respect Spanish people. And they also taught them about agriculture and arts. In the 19th century, most of the families were really poor and they have to work in agriculture and cloth making for the ones that have with a lot of privilege, like politicians or elite people. The father was still the one with the highest authority, and it began a crucial time for having a lot of kids. The 19th century was the one with the most, because of nowadays, we can see that there are still a few people who think that it has to be the man, the one with more power and the one who has to bring money to the house, but it is also the women who can do a lot of things, like get to work and do something else rather than being home and waiting for her husband or her kids to come to school. And I think that I think we have to evolve a little more because here, for example, here in Mexico, homoparental families are not seen like real families, and I think that if they care about the kids and the house, it's in good conditions and they have a good communication, it doesn't matter the roles but the values.
Mexican work ethic. On average, Mexicans work approximately 41 hours a week according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD for short, which is one of the longest average working weeks in the world. This is not directly related with success, but is heavily influenced by social status, so this long work schedule is mostly out of necessity. Currently, the market basket equals to around 45% of the minimum monthly wage, which is without considering rent or other services like electricity or running water, among others. Due to the costs of living and low wages in the country, almost 50% of Mexicans live in a state of poverty, which is directly related with lack of job opportunities due to poor education or lack of education entirely. Still, it is known that Mexicans do work hard, or at least a majority of them. However, like in almost every other place in the world, there are people that like things done the easy way. enters corruption and organized crime. Mexico is inside the top 30 most dangerous countries in the world, being topped only by war torn countries or countries ruled by dictators. But how does this relate to our work ethic? Illegal activities that are potentially dangerous to society are often treated as minor offenses due to corruption. So, where do these people enter when it comes to work ethic? They could be working 50 hours a week, but if they don't have the ethical values to do the job they have to do, are they ethic? Do they have work ethic? Another example, a drug dealer selling drugs at an elementary school could be working 10 hours a day, but does he have a work ethic just because he works an extended period of time? So, I wonder, if our work ethic is so great and we are a hard-working culture, why are our values so bad? Does it even matter that someone works 10 hours a day, but he works killing or stealing from another person that is probably in the same social status or economic status? Should we be proud of us as a culture? Or should we be ashamed of it? Should we work even harder? And to begin with, is this type of ethic part of our culture? Does it define us? After all these facts, I think that our culture is represented by those hardworking people and not by the people that are into crime or into law breaking things. But I do think that we often turn a blind eye against those kind of behaviors, because if we see someone doing something that's wrong and we know that it's wrong, we tend to turn a blind eye against that. If we someone get assaulted or mocked in the street, it's very common that we don't do anything about it. And I am actually one of those because I value my life more than someone else's. And while it sounds selfish, I think it's one of the most basic human instincts